Hi, my name's Chris Cannon. I live at 106 Baden Court, Columbia, South Carolina, in a development called Coldstream. It's in Irmo, Lexington County. I live right on Coldstream Creek in a cul-de-sac called Baden Court.
Hang on one second. I apologize. That was perfect, but actually, let me see if I can't get some more light. I don't know if it'll work or not. This is.
Do I need to stand closer?
No. You'll be fine where you're at. I'm just trying to reflect the light off of here, and maybe it'll bounce off you a little bit, light it up a little bit more. That's okay.
I could switch that one light bulb with the other light bulb, the brighter one, towards me.
No. This will work. This will work, right? Yeah, there we go. Okay. How long have you lived in Columbia, South Carolina?
On and off. I came down here in 1982 to go to college at USC, and I'm originally from upstate New York. And a couple years later, my father came down here and taught for USC in the nursing school and he was worked at the VA. And then I left probably I think 1989. I was on the 5-year plan and stayed around for a few more years, and then I went up to back up to upstate New York, got in the coffee business, and I've been selling coffee ever since, and moved around from upstate New York to Boston, Massachusetts for a year, where I was reorganizing offices. Back to New York, then down to Wilmington, reorganized 3 offices there, the Philadelphia, the Wilmington, and the New Jersey branch. Then after that, I went down to Atlanta, Georgia in 2000 and started an office from scratch. And after 3 years, my parents were kind of getting in their golden age, and I decided to leave that company and come back to South Carolina and help with my folks. And so I came back in 2003, and I've been here ever since.
Did you ever think anything like this would ever happen to you?
Oh no, we never ever think things like this are going to happen to us. They always happen to somebody else. Last time it flooded here, I didn't really hear about it until after this happened. Was I guess 30 years ago when Hugo came in, and we certainly didn't expect a hurricane to come through, and I didn't expect the rainfall and the pressures and high and low pressure system to act like it did, and get the amount of rain that we did. I think we got over 30 inches of rain. So no, it was pretty devastating.
Did you have to evacuate your home?
No, I never did. Some folks did. My neighbor did next door. I have 4 dogs and 4 cats, and I have he's on a ranch, and I have a 2-floor, so I was able to go upstairs, even though I lost everything downstairs, and you can see the floors have all been removed. I'm still able to live upstairs, and we set up a little galley here in this room I'm standing in that you can't see, but we left enough boards to put a refrigerator and a microwave and a George Foreman grill so I can cook and eat here.
So you've been living here the whole time? You haven't lived in a hotel or anything like that?
No.
What would you say helped you out the most during this crisis?
Oh, I wouldn't even know where to begin, to be honest with you. There's just so many awesome people, so many very nice, beautiful people. It's it's one thing, when in a situation like this, I don't say unfortunately, but it seems just to bring out the best in everybody. I mean, it's just neighbors, church groups, local organizations, police, fire, Red Cross, you name it. I mean, just the amount of support and help that I've received is unbelievable. I would have never, ever, I wouldn't have been able to save my house if it wasn't for all the volunteers. There's no way. And I mean, I don't even know where to start. Maybe it's the first day, I started working out here and trying to pull everything out of my garage, which is packed solid from the back to the front. Mainly because I've been helping take care of my parents for the last 10 years, and my dad passed 7 years ago. My mom passed this January. In the last 8 months, I've been moving all their belongings into my already full house. So I had boxes from the floor to the ceiling, all the way to the front, and all the rooms were packed with my items and their items, and then everything came in, and it was a nightmare. And All my animals were safe though, because I don't know why. Normally they're out running loose, and the night before, for some reason, I didn't expect this to happen, but I brought all the cats and dogs into my room that night, and all were safe. So I was blessed that way. But I mean, the list I would have to compile of all the people that have helped me. The first day we were, like I said, I was trying to pull stuff out, and 6 hours, 5 hours, 5 or 6 hours into it, I was exhausted, and I barely scratched the surface. The next day, a group of Mormons showed up with about 20 people, and we got an assembly line, and we had this garage almost unloaded in about 3.5 hours, which would have taken me probably 3 months. And another local, and then we had all the other groups who came in trying to, get in my house. We could save it before the black mold and things set. And I was kind of hesitant, because, let me clean up first. Let me box it up, so it's nice and neat. And, basically they just said, we're coming in, which I'm glad they did. And the same thing, we got an assembly line, and then that was with, Christ Church and a group called, I think it's FA1 and F3 and Team Rubicon, and many, many others. And just got everything out of this house, put it all out in the front yard, and a giant pile of mass destruction over to the right, of all obviously the boards and the drywall and the duct work and everything else that had to come out. And I think one of the greatest benefits too is I got in touch with the South Carolina Baptist Convention with a man named David Lee, and he put me in touch with a few people that could help me out, especially with my ductwork, my air conditioning. I got quotes as high as $15,000 to get that replaced, and he told me to contact the Castle Brothers, which I did, and they came in and they were like, okay, yeah, we know David, and they gave me a very good rate. Let's put it that way. They charged me $8,400 to put all this duct work in, put a new pad down underneath the air conditioner, a 3.5 train unit, and I mean, they did it for $8,400, which I didn't even know how they did it. So that was amazing. And right now, I've had a man, the contractor that David got in touch with Northside Baptist Church and Steve Allen, and he put me in touch with Grady Borden, and he's been incredible these last couple days, getting insulation for us to put down and boards, and he's going to come in with a crew Saturday, and they're going to help rebuild my home, at least get floors in my home, and the walls put up and everything else. And they also put me in touch with a gentleman, I can't remember his name off the top right now, and who's an electrician who came in and checked out all my receptacles about a month ago, and he said he'd be back to help me get that taken care of after all the walls are put in. So I can't thank the South Carolina Baptist Convention Center or Northside Baptist Church for just all this. It's overwhelming.
Can you tell me about the GoFundMe incident with your friend?
Yeah, that was kind of funny. Unfortunately, when this hit, even though I live on Coldstream Creek, I don't have any flood insurance. I have homeowners, but that doesn't cover anything. I mean, it doesn't cover anything affected by a flood. And my neighbors to the right of me both had to have flood insurance, so they were covered. Unfortunately, I got hit the worst, where they were able to, my neighbor next door to me was able to keep his floors, and the other neighbor got it underneath the house, but they both lost, obviously, duct work in their air conditioning units as well, where I had to get all my floors taken out. Excuse me. And anyhow, right after the flood happened, one of my best friends, childhood friends, lives in Nashville, and he's a recording engineer. And he called me up a day after the flood and was like, "Hey, how you doing, man? How's everything going?" And kind of talked, and I was like, kind of a little devastated. I don't know what I'm going to do. And told me I'm flood insurance, and I got to figure out how I'm going to pay for all this. And unfortunately, over the last 10 years, I've used a lot of my 401k up helping my parents, which I don't regret at all. But So about 3 weeks later, he calls me back up. He's like, "So, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Well,